Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And as you guys have most likely seen, the entire crypto market is in the red. And in today's video, I want to tell you guys exactly what I think is about to happen, a couple of things to watch out for, and of course the crypto prices. So yeah, little summary, Bitcoin down 6%, Ethereum down 6%, and generally speaking, the top 10 is in the very red. It's also interesting to see that Bitcoin is actually below 27,000. And since I said in my previous video, we have to really watch for the close over on Sunday, things have now started to get negative on my radar. To dive into the charts real quick, I told you guys about this Binance chart for Bitcoin over on the 4-hour, and I basically told you guys as well where I went short, which was 29,170, so exactly this little point right there. Now again, I told you all, it's safest to go for about a 1% profit or so. With my leverage would mean 13% profit on our trade. I myself took it to about 3%, but as of this point, if you actually opened the short at the point which I personally suggested, it could have had about 9 or let's say 8 to 9 or whatever percent profit with the leverage that we employ, which in this case was 13x. That's a crazy freaking trade. All right, let's just say we doubled our money on that trade then if we pulled it all the way through. Just to remind you guys real quick, the reason we expected things to come further down was mostly based upon the fact that these inflation numbers keep showing negative things for the stock market, and that kind of shows itself in the crypto market as well. And again, I should add, nothing that I'm talking about here has any effect on the long term. Most long-term structures are still completely fine, and I still expect some crazy crypto pumps over the next month or so. However, on the short term, we might be seeing some negativity based upon what just happened. To give you some perspective, this was basically the channel that we watched very closely. And again, if you remember my exact words, this is what I said. We're going to be watching for the Sunday close. That was mostly for this chart right here, which is the weekly over on Bitcoin, and this chart for Bitcoin, which is also weekly but just drawn differently. And that showcased to us two very important things. Bitcoin right now broke through our major support and actually at a close below where we basically set our bottom, which was roughly at about 28.6 thousand, which is what I described to you guys in all of our models. You can see 28.6 thousand right here, and actually also on this chart right here. It basically just acted as a bottom due to what we saw previously, and it also acted as a nice little support here due to our, or I guess in comparison to our past price action. So again, when I opened up my short, which is mostly based upon the fact that we had ourselves a breakout with confirmation, I told you guys the only reason we might actually go for more than 1% depends on exactly how this chart was moving along. Because again, if you take a look at the dates right here, this was the 10th of June, about 12 o'clock. And the moment that Bitcoin started to kind of break below was actually 11th of June, 12 o'clock. There's exactly 24 hours until Bitcoin actually started to look negative on this chart too. And the moment that it started to look negative on this chart, it was not actually a trade signal because there was no confirmation. But that prompted me to make the video for you guys yesterday that there's a very high chance we're actually going to close negatively. Right now we did just close barely below our 200 weekly EMA, which was at about 27,000. And so even though over longer periods of time, I expect things to come right back around, most things are looking bearish right now, and that's something we should really accept. Most models have broken, and Bitcoin has just broken through so ridiculously many supports. There's two very easy things to conclude here. One is many people have lost their faith. Even though the fear and greed index is not actually that low, I would have expected it to be way worse following such a negative close. A lot of people have sold their bags and a lot of people have exited the market because, well, things are doing quote unquote bad and scary and crypto is over. But in all seriousness, we also have to think about a couple of different things, which are massive liquidations. And I'm not talking about, a little chop. Nah, never mind. Let me not make that joke. I'm talking, to put it blankly here, about liquidations in the crypto market due to prices falling too much. One key example, for example, could be MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy CEO warns that inflation has not peaked and neither has Bitcoin. He's always a perma bull, right? We all know it. However, there's a key word in there. Inflation has not peaked. We often look at Bitcoin versus the stock market. We know the stock market was looking really negative recently. It's honestly expected the stock market is going to continue negatively following the inflation news still. But there's one thing which he doesn't really acknowledge too often, and that is the fact that at some point he most likely has to get liquidated. And that mostly has to do with the way in which they acquired themselves, the currency. But let's just say it like this. MicroStrategy has bought a lot of Bitcoin, sure. But if the prices go extremely low, they might be in a lot of financial problem. Right now, it's already said that they're at a $330 million loss. And at some point, that quote unquote loss, that unrealized loss, is just going to be too high. And that actually kind of continues on with different markets in the crypto space as well. Here's, for example, $500 million of on-chain collateral will face liquidation if Ethereum falls to, well, a lot of these sources are saying about $1,150 for Ethereum. And that is actually getting a lot of people really scared. So, as you guys know, the entire crypto market crashed partially due to the whole Luna collapse. Hopefully, you guys all updated yourself on the situation. But there's now a new fear of multiple different crypto pieces, kind of puzzle pieces kind of falling apart, partially to do with stablecoins as well, partially to do with just DeFi. Ethereum's 24-hour liquidations at 140 million exceed Bitcoin's amidst fears of stETH depegging. So again, to put it into perspective, right now, Ethereum is getting more liquidations than Bitcoin, which again is not completely strange, but it could be that a lot of people are actually getting out of Ethereum right now because of these fears. And if this proceeds, if this goes through, and if this continues on, that could be a really negative situation. And I'm not talking about the exact event of it depegging, for example, or anything of the sort. I'm talking about people's fear of that happening, which makes things go way worse. As again, this is basically something that's pegged to Ethereum, and right here was trading at 0.96, which you guys can understand with a USDT as well, where if it's not exactly one, people get fearful. Again, guys, it's not the exact same thing. These things work very differently, but you can understand why people would get fearful if they don't understand the full details of it all. One of the main reasons why, and one of the easy reasons why, is let's say you have this stable coin or anything, I guess, that's pegged. So let's say stETH, for example, if it's backed up 1-to-1, meaning for every stETH you have in this world, you also have one actual Ethereum, then it can never really depeg. It can only be a sort of a really brief one because people are buying or selling it too much where the price cannot adjust. Because you'll always have arbitrage of people being able to get that stETH, transfer back for one actual ETH, and then continue on with that little circle to make basically a little, like in real life, infinite money glitch. So usually the price comes right back to one, so to speak, rather quickly. It will only be temporary as long as it's actually properly backed, which again seems to be the case. So that brings me to the point, it's only people's fear of this continuing on. And that actually brings us back to our earlier point as well. With Bitcoin and the S&P, the comparison is, let's just say it like this, the correlation is extremely high. And that is not because of Bitcoin's use case or what people perceive it to be, well, kind of what they perceive it to be, I guess. It's people thinking, Bitcoin, let me buy it in and then look back in a couple of years. That's the notion. People don't think about it in the sense of, okay, let me buy it and hold on forever. People think about it to buy and sell for profit, which is really not akin to gold. With gold, a lot of people just want to have it for a sort of recession time, or in worst case scenario, want to have some of that, but they're not really planning to sell it unless the necessity becomes so great because the entire system collapses. With Bitcoin, people buy in with the idea to make money on that and then sell their Bitcoin to buy, for example, a car or buy some luxury item, so to speak. It's really different. It's more akin to the stock market where people, again, buy in purely for monetary gain and then get back out to US dollars. That's what the majority of people are buying this stuff for right now. On the other end, and I don't want to go too far into that right now, there's a lot of regulation talk going on. The fundamentals are being set in stone, and eventually everything will come back around. You also got to understand that you're pretty privileged to be able to buy at these prices. And whilst a lot of people are selling, the majority of us are actually buying. However, there's a really big difference. If we're talking about shorting or longing, I honestly think going for any short at any point right here is smarter than any long, which is what I've been saying for a couple of months right now, because things are still looking quite negative. Having said that, if we're talking about buying or selling crypto, a lot of my friends have sold a lot of their altcoins. I'm not really about that life. I like to hold on to my altcoins, and I like to just basically go for, trades that involve longing or shorting, basically contracts. But in terms of altcoins, I usually just like to buy more and keep it in my stash and just not really think about it too much. But that's because I am a little bit, I guess I'm too afraid to sell an altcoin stash and buy it back in. I'd rather just, for example, make one bad trade and actually, oh, too bad I made one bad trade, than actually sell all my altcoins and then not be there when there's a 40% pump, for example. Even though I can make the 40% on one small little trade, it just feels different to me. And I know, again, where my limits are, and this is not something that I'm comfortable with, so I won't do it. having said that, there's a very big trading competition coming up shortly. And again, if you guys are not part of the team just quite yet, make sure you join our team over on Bybit. Right now we have about 30 people in, but a couple of other teams have a couple hundred people already. And again, if we win, the entire prize pool is split over everybody that's in our team. And you got to remember, guys, there's $8 million to be won. So if you're not part of the team just quite yet, make sure you join it right now. A link is down below. I believe you also can get a couple of bonuses for being early. I'm not sure if the early is already over or not, but a lot of people have gotten themselves $50 or a free NFT or so. Just check it out. The link is down below because you might be able to get some stuff for free. If I did not put the link down below because I forgot, then just go over to WSOT and type in my Dusty name and you'll most likely find it. I also recommend you guys to join my Telegram. I have not made too many updates just quite yet. Again, I'm getting used to it still, and I'm putting up my strategies in a little bit of a sheet in terms of making it basically reproducible for all of you guys. But it's taking some time, so give me some time to come back on Telegram, but just join it already, guys, because I'll close in a couple of days most likely, as I just want my, how do you say it? I guess my loyal people in there. But if you're not joining the Telegram just quite yet, a link is down below, and I'll see you guys there. Thank you all so much for watching.